But really, though, I think they should be really, really... I think the three guys that I've named off, Christopher Nolan, David S. Goyer, and Zack Snyder, should really, really take a step back and then take 2 steps forward. Take a step back and look at the whole picture. Look at how much action we have here. Maybe we're overdoing it a little bit. I hope they can realize that. I hope the sequel is not a Transformers sequel. I really hope it's not. I really hope it's not. And they say, okay, now let's take 2 steps. Let's look closer and see. Here's what the story was. Okay, here. The story was here. It's gone. It's gone. Let's bring it back. Let's do it. Let's bring it back. And let's do it good. I really hope that they can do that. Because the best directors can do that. The best actors can do that. You know, the best writers can do that. Let's hope these guys can do it. Until then, I gave this movie 5 out of 10. It's a real disappointment. And I really, really just hope that with the subsequent series that might lead to Justice League, they're still deciding that. And depending on how this does, I'm sure this is going to... I'm tracking it actually. I saw a report that said $132 million for the weekend, which is gigantic. One of the biggest openings of all time. Yeah, they're going to do sequels to this, definitely. They've already greenlit it too. I do know they're going to. So unless it literally is such a backlashing from fans that Saturday late audiences and Sunday audiences literally dropped through the floor because of bad word of mouth, which I don't think the movie actually is going to have, because seriously, people are stupid, I think. The casual viewers. I looked around in the theater I was in, it was less than half filled, which is the thing about my local theater. It's not 3D. So I think people, because it's not the latest technology, don't go to see it. Seriously, I could do like a blog video on why 3D is not the way to go, why it's a waste of your money and a waste of your time. And it wouldn't even scratch the surface. For some of you, I wouldn't persuade you one bit. And then for others of you who are with me in this respect, that 2D was the way it was in the beginning, it's the way it should always be. It's okay to have 3D every once in a while. It's okay if you have something that's really technically groundbreaking, like Avatar. I did not see Avatar in 3D. I have relatives who saw it in 3D, and they said, okay, they said in 3D, now since then they've wanted to see every movie that comes out in 3D, not in 2D. I don't have that. Maybe I'm better for it. Maybe I am better for it. But anyways... But I looked around the theater, you know, in the audience around me. A lot of them actually were older, like couples, and that would maybe they had college kids on whatever, in their 40s or 50s, because they remember the original Superman. So do I. And I think really, if we just do that, just do something like that. Look at Superman 2. Remember that? That had that whole conflict. Later on, okay, Superman becomes established. Now the thing is, he has a kind of wants a personal life too. If they do that in the sequel, plus the added fact of maybe, you know, after what happens in the end of the movie, because it's in the end of the movie they have this conflict that comes up maybe for him that's personal to him that makes him mad at himself because he does something. You know, I'm not going to tell you what because it would generally be considered a major spoiler. Especially in respects to this movie and this review, it would be a major spoiler. But I won't say it. And I thought, ooh, maybe they'll have just a quick little dialogue about this. But they didn't. He was over it by the next scene. I thought, really? You're just gonna blow it off? And that was kind of the final nail in the coffin. Until then, I thought, okay, it'll be a guilty pleasure. It'll be a barely 6 out of 10. When they blew that off, I thought, look at the potential you had! You could have ended this movie, really, with a message, you know. But instead, no, you just end it, you know, he blows it off and says, okay, I'll just be, yeah, really. If you could bring that back up, and the added fact that maybe he wants a little bit of a social life, and the fact that he's maybe not getting like Superman 2, or not Superman 2, like Spider-Man 2. That's another great sequel. Of maybe he's not there in time, maybe he just can't balance everything out. Man, that would be, I think, a great sequel if they can just come back on that. But figure out how to balance it, you know. Make his life, like Superman's life sucks now that he's revealed it. And maybe his father was right, and maybe he'll go back to Smallville and quit being Superman for a while. And maybe he'll get away from Lois for a while, you know. And then you could bring in Lex Luthor, or bring in, you know, have somebody figure out the Bizarro thing or whatever. Bring that in, and then and then for a while he avoids it or something, you know? Do something like that. And I did hear, actually, there was an interview with David Gordon. He said, we have an idea to kind of bring in Lex Luthor in the sequel, and if they do, I really hope they do it right. I hope they lean more on what Gene Hackman did versus what Kevin Spacey did. Because Gene Hackman, in the original 2 movies, he was kind of a swindler. He was a money man, if anything. He was not a genuinely, you know, threatening villain, like threatening big-time villain. He was a swindler. Make him a swindler, you know. Kind of a little bit. He'll have fun dialogue, but he still has moments of really threatening qualities, sure. But just keep that in mind, please. All I ask, please, just make the sequel better, please. It's always, the second one is always the easiest one, because you don't have to start it and you don't have to end it. That's why so many second acts and trilogies are looked at as far superior. Dark Knight before Dark Knight Rises. Spider-Man 2. You could even say, in some respects, in the story aspects especially, of Empire Strikes Back. Really. Just look to examples like that when you write this. Okay, yeah, like I said, since it is kind of Superman's birthday, whatever, 75th birthday, whatever, I think I will go back and do some reviews on Superman movies because I really think they deserve it. And I think audiences should really, if they haven't seen those movies, especially young kids, see them. Really do. If you're a parent listening to this and you've got kids who saw Man of Steel and were amazed by it, show them the original Superman. And really, they just might get out of it what I got out of it years and years ago when I first saw it. I hope they do. I hope they see it as a technical thing. You know, they see it as a technical wow. And just the thing, they did a lot of that for real. A lot of it. Not all of it. Obviously, back then they had green screen, they had blue screen, sure. They had wires, of course they had all that. But, you know, it's still not a CG thing. It's not CG. Show them the difference. Maybe it'll inspire something in them, maybe not. Okay, I guess this storm's still going on. But anyway, until then, I think this weekend I'm going to be quite busy at the movies, actually. They have a couple of movies that came in, like This Is the End, the new comedy. I think I'm going to see that on Father's Day, bring my pop with me. Maybe he'll like, I don't know, he's kind of a comedy guy. Well, he also likes war movies, so I don't know if they had a war movie, and I would definitely go see that with him. And then also Now You See Me's in, and I think that's going to be, it looks interesting to me. And it's got some, believe it or not, some Dark Knight alumni. It's got, you know, Morgan Freeman and Michael Caine, so I think, okay, maybe that'll be worth something. So yeah, I'll see that. Probably tomorrow night and see that, and then Sunday will be Father's Day. I'll probably see This Is the End. I'll have those two reviews, hopefully. And then after that, after I plan everything out, we'll get to those Superman reviews, finally. But until then, Man of Steel, really, it's up to you. If you're a comic book fan, Superman fan, okay, go see it. If you're a Christopher Nolan fan, I think you'll be a little disappointed. At the very least, if you're a Zack Snyder fan, it's kind of right up your alley. And for the rest of us, I think that'll do it. Do the sequel right, or so help me God. So help me God.